There's a reason behind this happiness. Let's watch and hear what Venezuelans has to say. Why they are rejoicing over happiness? Everybody's starting. Let's watch and see what they have to say about it.
Okay, as a Venezuelan American, I got some shit to say. My family, my parents, my sister, my extended family, all lost everything. Their work, their savings, their investments, gone. Wiped out by a narco dictatorship that has held Venezuela in a death grip for over 25 years. And what happened to my family has happened to millions, and yes, millions. The Venezuelan exodus is the second largest displacement crisis on earth after Syria. This is not just a tragedy. It is one of the great humanitarian disasters of our time. But the suffering doesn't end there. This regime has jailed hundreds of political prisoners. Thousands have been murdered simply for speaking out. More than a third of the population has fled. 1/3. Not for better opportunities or for the American dream, but to survive, to live, because staying often means death. And while the world may see Venezuela as a collapsed state, what it is in reality is an occupied one. Our territory, our natural resources, and our institutions have been overrun by hostile foreign powers. Iranian militias, Chinese corporations, Russian intelligence, all exploiting our country with impunity. Venezuela is no longer just a local crisis. It is now a geopolitical threat that endangers the entire Western Hemisphere. It has become a launch pad for an authoritarian expansion in the Americas. And in the midst of all of this, one woman has dared to lead the charge for freedom. Maria Corina Machado. In 2024, against every odd, she led a peaceful democratic uprising that won the election. Her team smuggled physical voting receipts out of the country, hard proof of victory that the regime tried to bury. Her courage has lit a fire in the hearts of millions of Venezuelans desperate to believe that change is still possible. But now some have questioned her decision to dedicate her Nobel Prize to Donald Trump. Okay, I get that. But here's the truth. It was a brilliant strategic move in the global chessboard of politics. Maria Corina is no fool. She knows exactly the kind of man Trump is. She knows how much he campaigned for it, loudly and relentlessly, to win that very same prize. She knows how symbolic and personal that recognition is to him. And precisely because of that, she understood that this gesture might be the thing that keeps his attention focused on Venezuela at a time when U.S. presence and pressure in the Caribbean is rising. She didn't dedicate that award to flatter him. She did it to protect and preserve the one kind of power that could help shift the course of history. Because for her, this isn't about pride. It's not about optics. It's about freedom. And let's be very clear. Maria Corina is not asking for the U.S. to invade Venezuela. She's not campaigning for war. Venezuela is already invaded. It is held hostage by a narco state, overrun by foreign agents and enemies of democracy, Russians, Iranians, Chinese, all operating freely, weaponizing our land and resources to expand their influence across Latin America. What Maria Corina is calling for, what millions of Venezuelans are praying for, is the support of the only military on earth capable of countering that threat and helping to free our people. This is not imperialism. This is liberation. She's not playing partisan games. She's playing for Venezuela's life. Because this isn't theoretical. This isn't academic. This is life or death. So yes, it is time to honor her bravery, but more importantly, it is time for the world, especially the free world, to recognize what's at stake. The fight for Venezuela is a fight for freedom, for democracy, and for the stability of an entire continent. If we truly care about liberty, human dignity, and peace in the Americas, then Venezuela's fight must matter to all of us. Que viva Venezuela, que viva Maria Corina Machado.
Okay, I'm going to try to give you a quick rundown of why so many Venezuelans are so happy. And it starts with Hugo Chavez. He's the man who laid the groundwork for the collapse. He was in power from 1999 to 2013. Here are the things he did. He dismantled democratic institutions. He packed the courts, he weakened the legislature, and centralized the power to the presidency. He also politicized the military. He promoted loyalty over competence, and he also blurred the civilian military lines. This is a key thing. He nationalized industries, and it was key industries: oil, electricity, steel, agriculture. This was a massive efficiency loss. The flip side of that would be he crushed private enterprise. Price controls and currency controls destroyed domestic production. He also exploded government spending. He used oil money for short-term political support instead of investment. He also deepened corruption. Billions of dollars of oil revenue disappeared with no oversight, or tiny amounts of oversight. All of this helped make Venezuela oil dependent, and he also aligned with other authoritarian regimes: China, Russia, Iran, and this isolated Venezuela from Western markets. So by the time Chavez died, the institutions were hollowed out, essentially. And this is even though oil prices had been historically high. And that takes us to Nicolas Maduro, which was from 2013 until now, and he turned dysfunction into catastrophe. So let's start with economic collapse, hyperinflation. Prices rose by millions of percent. People's savings wiped out. There was a currency collapse. Their currency essentially became worthless. Oil production imploded from around 3 million barrels per day to just a fraction of that. And all of this helped induce widespread poverty. Over 90% of Venezuelans were in poverty at the peak crisis, which obviously led to humanitarian disasters. People lost 20 pounds on average. It's called the Maduro diet. Malnutrition, they had medicine shortages, and this led to mass migration. It led to the largest refugee crisis in the Western Hemisphere. Over 7 million Venezuelans fled the country. On top of that, there was authoritarian repression. You had political prisoners, journalists, political opposition, college students. You had torture, you had abuse. There were lethal responses to protest. They killed people who were protesting. Nationwide blackouts, water shortages, public services failed. To keep it simple, Chavez broke the system. Maduro finished the collapse and enforced it with oppression and repression. Maduro was indicted by the US for drug trafficking. He wouldn't come, so the US went and got him.
Wow, see how massively they came out. Ah, jubilating, happiness. This to show you that they are happy with what is going on. But I also want to let you know that some parts are also protesting. They are not happy of what is going on. They are not happy for what America did to them. Well, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. We are going to give you updates on what is happening.